Hello, and today I want to talk about briefly on how I got started with wholesaling. I shared a couple of weeks ago how I got started with buy and hold, and a lot of you have been asking about wholesaling. And so let me go back then and share my story. And first of all, back when I started almost 30 years ago, it was called flipping the contracts. So it was not called wholesaling. Wholesaling, honestly, is more of a newer term about this strategy. So the first time I made money for flipping a contract was actually back in 91. I had put this property, and I didn't know that's what I was doing. Okay, I was working as a real estate agent, and I had put this property on the contract that I planned to buy for myself. Was a probate, and this was in Hawaii. So $1.2 million property, and it was worth about 1.4. And my husband at the time was in the army, and he got orders, so we had to move back to the mainland. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and cancel the contract. And the real estate agent in the office told me, no, don't do that. You can assign your contract to somebody else and make some money instead of just canceling. So that's what I did, right? So I actually marketed the property and got another buyer, made $75,000. So that was my first experience. But when I moved to the mainland, then I got into buy and hold, and I didn't really do anything. I didn't really think it was a strategy. I thought that was kind of a fluke thing that I did once. And now moving forward, about 93, 94, when I was looking for rental properties, I actually came across this real estate broker that he was flipping contracts. And so I got some property from him as a rental. And then, talking with him, he said, well, I have all these properties for sale, but I don't own them. And I'm like, how do you do that? And so he says, well, I'm flipping the contracts. So I put them with property on the contract, and then I go and market it to people like you. I was one of their buyers, and then I sell it to them. So I went to actually, as a real estate agent, I got my license. I went to work for him. Actually, he paid for my real estate license. And I went to work for him and learning how he was doing this. And this was my first exposure. So he was basically putting properties under contract, and then he would go out and market it and sell these properties. Now, I worked for him only for about 3 months because honestly, he was not an honest person. He was doing all kinds of crazy things with the lenders and structuring these deals in a way where they will appraise for more, and I just didn't want to be involved in all of that. So what I did then, I went ahead and started being on my own as a real estate agent. Now, I did call the real estate commission, and I wanted to make clear with them how I should write my contract. Okay, to basically say, hey, I'm selling a contract, I'm not selling the property. And this is a big key factor here. You have to understand that you're selling the contract, not the property, right? So you're flipping the contract. So I start marketing and getting properties. Now, some of the ways we talk about, driving for dollars was a big one. I was scouring all the ads. Back then, there was newspaper, not internet. I was actually wholesaling, which I still do, properties out of the MLS. I was going for property that had been listed for a while and then put contracts out there and wholesale properties out of the MLS. So any of the strategy we talked in today's, that's what I did back then. But honestly, I work only 1 or 2 strategies mainly at a time. I was saying the beginning was driving for dollars and MLS. That were my main 2. Eventually, I added other strategy. Then I went into fix and flip, raising private money, which I will talk in a subsequent video. But that's what I did. And I started putting out there getting as many as I could. 5, 10 properties on the contract, 15, 20, until I got more than 20 every month. And then I started building my buyer list. Okay, as I was, now we're talking mid-90s. So a lot of the tools, there was no websites, there were no cameras, digital cameras. So in the beginning, I was really just, typing up in a word processor a list of all the properties, giving the breakdown, because I was targeting mainly landlords. I like to deal with landlords as buyers because they buy pretty much anything that makes sense. They're not too picky on what the properties look like, as long as they're rentable and, pass inspections. And then eventually when digital cameras start coming out, I start taking pictures of these properties and create newsletters that I will send out via mail showing this property, and eventually move to doing it online. But it was basically just going out there and putting anything I could under contract that was coming from Driving for Dollars, MLS. Eventually I added other strategies, and putting out a newsletter every month to my buyers list. I was very good at creating a very responsive buyer list. So my focus was only on having a very good responsive buyer list. And because I was also dealing mainly at that time, I was also mainly dealing with landlords that wanted to buy. And I like landlords even to this day because they buy repeatedly, right? They buy, if you give them a good property and they make money with you, they'll keep buying from you. That's the thing. I created repeated buyers with these landlords. But that's how I started with wholesaling. Now, wholesaling came as a term probably about 20 years ago. I'm still very reluctant in calling wholesaling. I call it that way because people know more about it as a wholesaling, but it's really flipping a contract. You're flipping a contract. No, you're not flipping the property. You do not own the property. Also, make sure that you have full transparency to make it honest and legal. And also some states do require that you're licensed. I don't know, Illinois is one of them, and I believe Oklahoma is doing that now, in a couple other states. So, keep it legal, get your license, it's worth it. You can get your license even by taking courses online now, so there is no excuse to do that if you have to do that in your state. Or you can do it virtually in other states where you don't have to get your license. The great thing about wholesaling is that you can do it virtually. This is a very easy strategy to do it. Right now, we're doing it virtually. It doesn't matter if it's down the street or across the country, we do it virtually. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a story here, tidbits on how I did it. Hopefully it can help you. Keep it simple. And, it doesn't have to be difficult. That you don't have to go out there and do all kind of crazy marketing or anything like that. Just start with one way of getting leads, become very good at it, like so good that you could teach about it, and then maybe add another one or two. Keep it simple and keep moving forward. Hopefully that helped you, and take care. Bye-bye.